Coming up next on Access Framingham, a cultural exchange in South Africa with my special guest, Maddie Tremblay. Stay tuned. Hello, I'm Jack Barron, host of Travels with Jack, seen here on Access Framingham TV, where guests share with our audience a recent trip, a vacation, a cruise, or maybe a day trip right here in New England. You'll see their photos and hear about the exciting places they have visited. My guest today is Maddie Tremblay. In the summer of 2019, Maddie was accepted by Framingham Essex Rotary to do a cultural exchange visit to South Africa, where she was partnered with a 17-year-old girl named Bongi from Cape Town, South Africa. Maddie spent 6 weeks during the summer of 2019 staying with her host family that gave her the opportunity to explore some of the country with a local's point of view. Maddie joins me now to share her exciting trip with you. What parts of the world have you visited? Please be my guest on Travels with Jack and share your travel experience with our viewing audience. Just contact us here at Access Framingham Television and let us know you'd like to be a guest. You can phone AFTV at 508-875-5434, or you can send an email message to info@accessfram.tv. One of our associate producers will contact you to make arrangements for you to be on our show here on Access Framingham TV. If you do not live in Massachusetts, we would be more than pleased to assist you with your travel to the Access Framingham studios. Now, let me welcome Maddie to Travels with Jack. Look at that, you made it from Cape Town, South Africa to our studios in Framingham.
Yes.
All right, what I usually do is we start the show with a little bit of your biography. So Maddie Tremblay currently lives in Weston, Mass., not the West like Berkshire, town of Weston, and she is a junior at Weston High School. She is very active in the high school crew team as a rower. I don't know, are there official positions in rowing crew, like a lead or no? Okay.
No.
Maddie has a strong interest to be involved in the film and media industry. So this is really the highlight of her future, being on Travels with Jack. Maddie is fluent in Spanish and also has an interest in working with other languages and possibly getting involved in language film making. And she is going to share with us her summer in 2019 in South Africa that the Rotary helped sponsor. So thank you for coming. Start by telling me a little bit about Rotary's role in how this came together and how you traveled there. I assume you went by airplane? Mm-hmm. Give me a little bit of a story.
Yeah, so Framingham Rotary does a lot besides exchanges, but one of their main things is exchanges. And through my family, we've done a lot with exchanges, starting with my dad going to Germany when he was in high school, and then my brother just last year spending an entire year in the country Colombia. So I kind of followed on with the tradition by going to do a short-term exchange in South Africa for 6 weeks. So all I had to do with the connection through Framingham, I set up an application. I put in my top 3 countries. So my first one was South Africa, and the second one was actually India. So I got matched with South Africa, which was great, and I was really excited for. And then when they accept you, when they review your application, they find a match in the other country, and you basically, like I went to go stay with a family in South Africa, and then vice versa, the family that I stayed with, their daughter, who is about my age, she came and stayed with us just this past December.
Now, did you have to pay for the travel, or does Rotary help you with that as well?
Rotary basically sets everything up, and then you do have to pay airfare.
Yep.
But you are staying with a family in the country, so you don't have to pay for like housing, and you just pay for like food when you go out to eat. But besides that,
So you're saying basically the family takes you as though you were their daughter.
Yeah.
And they feed you, and you have a room, and that's wonderful. So
Yeah.
Rotary does this globally,
Yeah.
connecting people from all over. Isn't that one? I think that's great.
Yeah.
So that's a nice way to start. So you left Boston. Where did you fly to?
I flew from Boston to, I believe, Paris, and I had a pretty short layover because our flight here actually got delayed. But so I flew from here to Paris, which was about 7 hours, and
Yep.
then Paris right into Cape Town, which was a good 14 hours.
It's a long trip.
Yeah, so including time in the airport, I was in the airport for about 25 hours of travel.
Yep.
So it was a bit rough.
You arrived in Cape Town, and did Bongi's family greet you, or somebody from Rotary? How did that happen?
So unfortunately, no one from Rotary was able to come to the airport that night, because I did get in at the airport around like 11 o'clock
Yep.
at night, so it was a bit late. But I was greeted with a sign by my host family, and they all gave me hugs. And it was
Oh,
an
so they
exciting
were there
moment.
for
Yeah.
you. Isn't that great?
Yeah.
And they whisked you away,
Yep.
and they lived where compared to Cape Town?
So they lived about 30 minutes outside of Cape Town. It's in a town called Kailesha, or no, not Kailesha, sorry, Kells River.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was a nice, common town. It was right near a taxi service, but yeah, it was good.
And you found when you got there, this was a black family.
Yes.
And
So
you and I were talking a little bit about that. You were one of the few white people in the town.
yeah, so especially in South Africa, it's the apartheid was there, so it was a lot of separation like separation issues still happening. So I was in a black family, and the community around me was all black as well. So this community it was outside the city, and inside the city of Cape Town itself is mainly white. And then as here we find colored offensive as an offensive term, but there colored is a very common term that many people associate with. So there's
Well, there,
people
when
around
they
me, yeah.
say black, you're black.
Yeah.
And you'd be what we would call a native South African.
Mm-hmm.
And when they use the term colored, they're usually referring to people who are Malay, Indian, Indonesian. I don't think we really have a term in the United States for what we call people of color, but that's how they break it down.
Yeah.
Did this community have people have color as well as black, or would you say mostly just black?
Mostly just black. The surrounding towns, of course, had like colored people and white people, but the community itself was mainly black, with maybe a few families around.
So I'm going to see if we can start some of the photos, and they'll come up, and you can just break me in. I'm going to be still asking you questions and say, Jack, that's the map. So, here we are. Why don't you tell the audience what this is?
Yeah, so this is a picture of the waterfront. So it's in the town.
And tell us the mountain behind it.
It is Table Mountain. So
The most famous mountain in South Africa.
yeah, it's one of I believe one of the 7 wonders of the world, I want to say, but don't count me on that. But so the waterfront, that is, it's like the harbor of Cape Town. So like imports go in there, and so we actually got on a boat the first weekend that I was there. It was a ferry ride to a place called Robben Island.
Yep.
And so it was a really nice ferry ride. We saw like all the mountains and.
Is this Robben's Island we're seeing now?
Yeah, so we got onto Robben Island, and Robben Island is mainly known for its prison. So Robben Island is, if you want to relate it to the United States, it's basically the Alcatraz of South Africa. So that's where a lot of crimes
And this is
happen.
you. It
Yeah.
says Robben Island Museum,
Yeah,
World
so-
Heritage Site.
Yeah, so you would take a tour bus around.
Is that Bongi
Yeah.
in the picture with you?
It is Bongi in the
Okay.
picture, and it's very nice. Around the country they have, or specifically Cape Town, but they have these nice frames so you can actually like get the perfect shot on your camera.
And it shows you where you are.
Yeah.
Now, whose dogs are these? Just stray dogs? Or?
So this is actually a really interesting thing. So I'm an animal lover myself, and I actually appreciated this. So basically, at the waterfront, there is like a shelter, like a pop-up shelter, you could say. So there's this stand, and you can sign out a dog.
Really?
Yeah, so you can actually take the dog on a walk around the city for up to an hour.
Isn't that wonderful?
I think it could be a little bit sketchy if, like, someone could take the
So
dog
these are
home.
dogs that are part of the shelter,
Yeah.
but they want to give them access to people.
Yeah. So
And this site is where? On a beach?
actually, that same night we met up with Bongi. She went on a STEM trip to Brazil a few years ago. So she met up with friends that she went there with.
And they came to South Africa.
Well, they live in South Africa,
Okay.
but they traveled with her. So I got to meet them. And so that's actually on Signal Hill, which is one of their most famous, like it's connected to Table Mountain. So you can go there, and it's most known for the sunsets.
Oh, and this is a beautiful night view of Cape Town.
Yes, yes.
Oh, I see. All right, good. There we go. You drew this for us. Thank you.
No, yeah. So basically, you can see we have Table Mountain, which is a table, and
Yep.
when it's actually cloudy, they call it the tablecloth because the clouds sit on top of the mountain, and it looks like a tablecloth. So Table Mountain, they have lots of hikes up there, which you'll see later. I went up it, and then we have Lion's Head, which is a pretty rigorous hike. You actually climb up chains and stuff to get to the top. And then Signal Hill, you can see right next to it. It's a much smaller hill, but it's above the city, so you can go paragliding off of it and watch sunsets and stuff there. So.
And this is
So
what is it? That must be in their Dutch tongue.
it's actually just like their slang words. So it's
really?
not
Okay.
I mean, I'm sure some of it is Afrikaans, which is it comes from Dutch. But so this is just a fun thing that I saw in a shop, which just shows like their slang for what something may call. Yeah.
Talk like a South African.
Yeah. So this is a pretty funny picture. So there's a little bit of a story. That weekend, or one of the few first days, we took the Red Bus tour, like the hop-on, hop-off bus tour.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Yeah, they call it the Red Bus tour. And so, you have the headphones in and you listen to just the history of the area. And they said on the bus that many people believe that Cape Town is not the windiest city, but it really is, and the weather changes on a dime. So you can actually see here, over time, the wind has blown these trees in a direction over the cars. So it's kind of evidence that it's windy there, which it's fun, yeah.
Oh, what is this? A stadium, it looks like.
Yeah, so this is their soccer stadium.
Oh, that they built for the...
I think the World
Yes,
Cup.
World Cup, yeah.
They may use it for rugby as well, but that was also on the hop-on, hop-off bus tour. And then we went to this park. It was also in the city of Cape Town, and we just walked around for a bit and saw like the local historic sites. And then we also went to a place called Boocap. I may be pronouncing that wrong, but
That's all right. None of our viewers will know.
But so it's known for its very colorful passageways. So basically, it's just part of Cape Town that is colored really brightly, and people always go there and take pictures in front of the walls. And
Oh, this is it.
yeah, it's a really fun place for a little photo shoot and stuff. Yeah.
This, if I remember, I'm going back a long time, but I think this was an area where a lot of the Malay and Indian people did live. Am I right?
I'm not positive,
Okay.
but I'm sure. Yeah.
I think I remember that area. Here's another nice shot of you. This is where?
So this is at one of the national parks. It's about a 45-minute drive from the city itself. It's actually on the other side of the Table Mountain, but it's a reserve, and it's all, all the like national flowers from around are there.
It's a beautiful country.
Yeah, and actually, what I'm standing on in the picture, in the last picture, is called the boom slang. So it's actually a suspended bridge system that's very intertwining with the trees, and it's.
And this is
famous for
what
that.
with all the walking. It looks like there's water maybe below the rocks.
Yeah, so you can see here that it's also in the same national park, and they make it very natural, and you can kind of just walk through the nature at your own leisure. So it's just a picture.
If I'm not mistaken, let me have you. This is what group is this?
So one night I was actually all showered and I was in my pajamas, and then Bongi came up to me and she's like, "You may want to put some clothes on. I think we're gonna go out to eat." I'm like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
So I threw some clothes on and I walked out, and then there was just everyone standing there. I'm like, "Okay, this is happening." So they threw a little surprise welcome party for me.
Oh, isn't
So,
that wonderful?
Yeah, in the picture you can see on my right is Bongi's younger brother named Yonela. He's about 14.
In the red jacket, like a red
Yeah.
shirt? Okay, yep.
Bongi's right next to me on my other side, and then in the red sweatshirt standing up on the left is Bongi's father, my host father.
Yep.
And then in the yellow shirt in the middle is my host mom. And then actually the two girls kneeling, and then the guy in the pink shirt behind my host father,
Oh, yeah.
they are actually from the U.S., and they were interns for my host father at his physiotherapy work. So they actually came, and it was very welcoming to see other people
So
from my
he is a
country.
physiotherapist.
Yes, which we call a physical therapist here.
Oh,
but
okay.
there they called physio. So
Okay.
he works in the town Kailisha, which I mispronounced before.
That's all right.
Which is a township, which is like a lower class shack
And this,
living.
you were taking a bike trip, it looks like.
So this was actually the start of our of my 12-day tour trip.
You biked for 12 days?
No.
Oh, gotta say, I'm
No,
already exhausted.
We went to this, so I was picked up by two tour guides named Luis and Lisa, and they were the best people ever. And I had one other girl with me named Anna Maria from Germany. So it was a specific tour meant for exchange students.
So Rotary kind of set this up?
So they offered me it, and they said, "You can do this if you want." I had to pay, we had to pay
but
for it. But they set
put
it
it
up,
together.
yeah.
Oh, that's
There
terrific.
was the same trip a few weeks earlier, but it happened before I got there.
So let me move you back to the screen.
Yeah.
This is other students, or?
No, so that's actually Anna Maria sitting at the end of the table from Germany, and
Okay.
then Lisa was one of the tour guides. She's also a fantastic cook. So that was with the African Tracks Travel. So I do suggest, if you ever go to South Africa, to go through them, because they really take you in through the local view and not through all the tourists.
How do you like the
stuff.
food?
The food was great. It was really yummy, and
I missed the picture, but that looked like you with some ostriches.
Yeah, so that's it's like a whole other story, basically. So
We're back. Okay.
yeah, so we continued on with this 12-day trip, and we went to an ostrich farm.
Yep.
And so they called this the ostrich neck massage. So you would hold a bucket of grain or their food.
Okay.
And they would come over you, and their necks would hit your shoulder as they would be eating out of the bucket.
Okay.
Yeah. And then this picture is an ostrich egg, or me standing on top of a few ostrich eggs.
Oh, I see what behind you.
Yeah. So actually, I'm standing right on them.
Oh,
And
what do you mean that you could? You won't break them? They're that hard?
So actually, they're so hard that an elephant cannot break it.
You're kidding?
Yeah.
Oh, I never knew that.
So it's just kind of to show that. And then we continued the trip to the Kango Caves, which is a cave system in South Africa. This is all along the Garden Route, which is known for their like very nature aspect of it. So we went down to the caves and we saw all the
Oh, look
features.
at this. This is very sharp.
It's very well done. And the inside, they have lights all
This is the
stairs.
cave?
Yeah.
Oh, look at this.
So we actually got the opportunity to go to an animal reserve, and we were able to go and pet a cheetah. Now the cheetah, I made it very clear that I would not pet the cheetah if it was drugged or like anything was done to it. So the cheetah itself was not drugged, and it was just trained to accept people and not like attack them. And while we were in the cage, we had a bodyguard behind us, and he was with us. And then we also had an instructor telling us like, okay, if a cheetah turns his head, do this, or like he told us to stand up if we needed to in order to just make sure we were in a safe environment.
Oh, look at this beautiful. This is a parrot?
I'm not sure. I don't think it's a parrot. It's some sort of bird, but in the reserve they had lots of different enclosures, and the coolest part was that these birds were not afraid of people at all. So they actually came and flew on top of us. And
Probably
we
the
took
people
pictures
were
with
used
it.
to feeding them or something.
Yeah, so you can see they definitely got all on top of our shoulders.
Isn't that
and heads and
wonderful,
stuff,
though,
yeah.
that you got to do all this?
Yeah.
Oh, there's the cheetah again.
Yeah, so we did have a photographer in there with us taking some very nice photos, and the cheetah was nice.
Beautiful cheetah.
Yeah.
And she just kind of sat there with you.
Yeah, and there actually were two more in the kennel, or not in the kennel, but in the cage enclosure that we were there.
So the ostriches.
This is back at the ostrich farm. I gave the ostrich a hug, which is a lot of feathers. Yeah. So one of the first nights on the trip, we did a thing called a braai. And it's called a braai, which is our barbecue.
Okay.
So they do this barbecue over the fire, and we have these things called boerewors, which I actually really enjoyed. I'm not a huge fan of sausage in the U.S., but it's a very similar.
So like a bratwurst.
Yeah, almost. It's thinner and longer, and you kind of just cut it up with how much you want instead of like individual links. But you wrap or you swirl it around inside of this crate thing that you put over the fire, and you kind of just let it cook. You also put like chicken wings and beef and stuff on it as well. So we did that, which was really interesting and fun. And that was the first time I did a braai there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And?
We played Jenga that night. We just had a good time together. And
Now this is the German gal.
yeah, so this is Anna Maria, and actually I got so close with Anna Maria on this trip that she actually invited me to go to Germany this coming summer for a few weeks.
And you're going to go?
I
Good
am
for
going to
you.
go in August, and then she'll be coming here the following year.
And where does she live in Germany?
She lives right outside of Munich. I think it's like an hour outside of Munich, close to the border of Austria.
You'll like Munich, and we have a guest frequently on the show, Miss Conley. You should really send me an email. I'll contact you with her. She's from Germany. And
Yeah, I have been there once before.
Oh, okay.
But yeah.
This is your sausage you mentioned.
Yeah, so this is the boerewors, and you can see some steak also in there. Or no, that's actually ostrich meat in the center. Yeah.
Oh, so the ostrich who was rubbing your neck became
Not the
a
same
sausage.
one,
Okay.
But, yeah, and actually one of those ostrich eggs holds 20 servings of eggs.
Really?
Yeah.
Why, they sell the eggs to eat?
Yeah, you can buy them. And then you have to
really?
like use a screwdriver to get through it.
Interesting.
Yeah. So South Africans aren't very aware of s'mores. So we made s'mores, which was really fun.
And this is what?
Yeah, so one morning we woke up at 5 a.m. and we drove to like a desert almost. And there's this company that brings everyone in there, and they give us blankets and lawn chairs because it's pretty cold. And it was winter time when I went there, so the lowest was about 60 degrees Fahrenheit there for their winter. But we got there and we just sat and we quietly waited for about 2 hours. You can see here in the lawn chairs and blankets until we saw one meerkat pop up, and then all of a sudden other meerkats popped up.
And what is a meerkat?
A meerkat is, I'm not sure, I know there's another English term for it, but I'm not sure what it is.
I'm seeing giraffes, but...
Yeah, we're moving pretty quickly. So we also went to a giraffe reserve where we got the opportunity to pet the giraffe and actually feed the giraffe and get up pretty close. So it is a baby giraffe, and once it's old enough, it will be released into the wild. So it's just.
So that's what they do at this reserve.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Looks a little like a camel, didn't it?
Yeah. So at one of the whole time we were there, we didn't stay in hotels. So we kind of just stayed where other campers stay.
So this was really what? You had a tent and everything? Is that what it was?
It wasn't a tent, but it was just like a lower class.
Bungalow, kind of?
You could say bungalow, yeah.
Okay.
It was like kind of communal housing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so this...
so in other words, they were designed for people like you, young students and stuff who were traveling.
So they're meant for travelers. It's much more affordable and travel.
Yeah, no, understandable.
The fun thing about this place is they actually had swings and hammocks attached to all these low trees that we were able to just hang out on.
It sounds like the trip was very much geared to people like you. To students.
Luckily, we were never brought anywhere really touristy. We kind of just got like the overall experience of like the nature and the outside world of South Africa, outside of the typical tourist
And
stuff.
this is where? What is this?
It's actually at the same hostel, which is where we stayed at, and that's where we ate dinner for a few nights with the nice sunset. And we did go canoeing on the river that you see in the background.
And you knew how to paddle.
Yes. Yeah, we went canoeing, so it was fun. And we canoed to this hike, and then we hiked to this waterfall, which...
And that's where you are now, at a waterfall.
Yeah, so we were sitting on the rocks. We had a few snacks there, and it was great.
Oh, there you are, yeah.
So Louise is the one with the hat. She was one of the favorites of mine. She was hilarious. And then Lisa was right next to me, and Anna Marie on the other side. Yeah, it was a long canoe ride. It was like at least an hour and a half, but it was an arm workout. So then we went to another waterfront on the garden route. We were now more towards the ocean side instead of inland. And this is just one of the more famous harbors that actually crew teams do row there on, yeah. So this was actually...
Oh, you got to feed the giraffe.
Yeah, so we did get to feed the giraffe. Since it is a baby, it is being fed out of
beautiful
a bottle,
animal.
Yeah. It was great. That was one of my favorite parts because I've never been... Although you can get pretty close to a giraffe at zoos today, getting the opportunity to like feed a giraffe and be that close is definitely a good experience.
You look like you had pretty good weather, too. I haven't seen any rain or anything.
So we did go to Addo National Park, which is a safari place. And the safaris aren't what people usually think. You can do a tour on the typical safari rides, but you actually take your own cars too, and you can just sit in your own car and you drive around on these tracks during a certain time, and you just kind of like look for animals on your own with your own binoculars and stuff.
So at this particular park?
At most safari places, they do that, yeah. But it was fun. We spent all day there, and we were trying to spot a
Now, did you get to
lion,
go and be near the elephants, or did they tell you don't bother
No,
the
so
animals?
you're not supposed to exit the vehicle. That's
Oh,
like
okay.
the one thing that you can't do there.
Yep.
Versus a reserve where they like let you go
Oh,
in.
wait, I don't
but-
want to miss the food. Hold on. What is this?
So this is bunny chow. It's,
Ah!
there's not bunny in it.
Okay.
Don't worry. But so this was a traditional South African Afrikaans food. Only like some cultures in South Africa focus on this, but definitely don't eat this if you are on a low carb diet, because it's basically half a loaf of bread scooped out and then
Yep.
filled with like a curry
Oh,
mixture.
okay.
And then you kind of like a bread bowl, and you can just kind of eat it like that way. And then also you see in the background.
Is it a popular snack?
No, it's a full dinner.
Oh, it's a full dinner. All right.
Yeah.
Oh, this looks good. This is a.
So this is another braai.
Yep.
Barbecue.
I see
that we
sweet
had
corn
again.
there.
Yeah, they did have corn. It
Oh,
was good.
wow.
Yeah, and that's us. Once again, this is actually in Jeffreys Bay, which is one of the top 7 places where surfers go. And
Wait, if we could get back, I just wanted to go back to the barbecue braai. Hold on. One back, one more. I want to see. Maddie, tell me what else is there to eat. It looks good. I'm hungry.
yes, we had some chicken, and
Yep.
you see the boudivores in the
Oh, the
strainer.
sausages.
Yeah.
Yep. So you got. So those are standard barbecue food.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So you got used to them.
Yes, they were great.
Oh, see, she says they're great. Okay. And you got nice. Oh, what is this? Shark. Where was this? You got a shark bite.
This is Jeffreys Bay still, and so we ended up walking to watch some surfers, like pro surfers surf. And I found this very interesting because it says it's a shark bite kit. But if you had a shark bite, I'm not sure what you would do, because
You get to a hospital. Is
no,
what
but
you
there's
do.
if you look closely, there's a lock on the shark bite kit. So I'm not sure how you would break the lock if you did get bitten
The
by
mystery.
a shark.
Oh, look at this. Now
Yeah.
tell everybody how cold that water really is.
It was pretty cold.
Yes.
Luckily, we did have like a wetsuit on that kept us dry and warm, but it was still cold on our fingers and feet. But we did get a 2-hour surfing lesson at the hostel that we were staying at, and this is like one of 3 times that I actually stood up. It's much more difficult than people may think. But of course, since we were beginners, we got the bigger boards. Still didn't make it any easier.
Well, I will tell you this. If you go to Los Angeles for film school, you'll be able to go surfing in
yeah.
Los Angeles.
Yeah.
But their water's not so warm either. You'll need a wetsuit.
No, yeah, but since we weren't very experienced, we were just in like the little waves, but it was still hard to get momentum and stand up on the board with balance.
Well, don't tell your parents when you go to film school that you spent all morning surfing. They'll say, what did we
Yeah.
send you to school for? Okay, you went horseback riding.
Yeah, so actually, I have about 6 years of horseback riding experience from here in the U.S. So we did go on a horseback riding trail ride with one of the horseback riding ranches out there, and I was lucky enough to go with the instructor on a separate trail and ride a little bit faster, separate from the other group of about 12 people, which was really fun.
And you got a little monkey there, I see?
Yeah, so we went to a place called Monkey Land, and
Okay.
Monkey Land is a huge enclosure, probably like a mile wide, both ways. And so they have, I believe, 10 different species of monkeys. And you can see in this picture, you may recognize this kind of monkey from Night of the Museum. If you have seen that movie, it's one of the more common monkeys to train for films. And,
Okay.
yeah, you can see the lemur here in their striped tail, which is, there's another monkey. We were able to see all the species of monkeys. That's a yellow spider monkey. Which
Look how you remember. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I'm trying my best. And there's only 3 of the spider monkeys in the enclosure, so we were very lucky to be able to see it. And in the enclosure, you can see it's nature, and they're not like surrounded by people a lot. So there are bridges and separate trails, and a monkey can come up to you, but they're not like encouraging you to feed them. But you can see that you can get very close to the monkeys.
I'm surprised they do. And did they tell you anything like, be careful, they might bite you or anything? Or
The monkeys are pretty independent, and they have like feeding spots.
Okay.
So if you go during a certain time, which we were able to do, they have this big table, and they put like buckets of fruit on it, and you can go there and kind of quietly stand there and watch like about 30 monkeys all come down and eat. Yeah. So it's very interesting because you can see the tiers of like the monkeys and how much power they have over the others. So all like the leaders of the monkeys pack.
You definitely noticed lead monkeys.
They all come down and eat on the table, while the other monkeys wait in the trees until they're done, and then they come down.
What do you mean? You mean the bosses come and eat first?
Yes, so they let all the
Really?
bosses come down to the table, which is usually, like, that's your opportunity to see the more rarer monkeys.
Were they male, female, or a mix of bosses?
Typically it's male that are the
Okay.
bosses, but there definitely were some female on the table originally, yeah.
See, our tables, they send the women bosses first.
Yeah. So on one of the last days...
Isn't that interesting? So the monkeys amongst themselves said the bosses can eat first.
Yeah, they've
I mean, clearly the management didn't say it.
Yeah.
Oh, isn't that fascinating? Okay. This is you and your German friend.
Yes, this is me and Anna Maria, and a few days before the end of the trip...
Did she help you with speaking German?
I did not learn any German
No?
with her,
Okay.
but her English was very fluent, which was really nice to be able to talk in English. But we were able to go zip lining in the
great.
park, yeah. And then on the second to last day, we went to like a water cave mountain area and took some pictures. And then on the last morning of the 12-day trip, we
look at
went
this big
to
elephant. Wow.
the elephant reserve. So they have I believe 2 elephants there, which you can see the other one in the back.
Yep.
But there was about 6 of us, and they brought us into this reserve, and we were able to feed, walk, and touch all the elephants. We walked about a half mile with the elephants right next to them. And as you can see, you're able to get that close to the elephant. And
yeah, I'm surprised they let you do that. Oh, this is hippos.
These are rhinos.
Rhinos, I'm sorry.
No, it's fine, but the rhinos are very endangered because of their horns, and people, try and kill them for their horns. So these are very endangered species.
Yeah, a lot of the animals
that are kept in the reserves. So they actually need high security there, so no one comes in and takes them.
It is a big, big problem. In fact, Prince Charles is very active in protecting wild animals in Africa.
Yeah, it's pretty unfortunate about the rhinos, but you can see that the elephants here...
And the elephants, they continually try to kill the elephants for their tusks.
So it was very interesting to see full tusks. So sometimes they're either cut down or taken off completely, so even being able to like touch a real tusk on a living elephant is pretty incredible.
Well, fortunately, I think the world, a lot of the world is very interested in preserving these important animals. And I know China has cut back a lot in prohibiting the ivory trade because that's where a lot of it went.
Yeah.
And I think it's wonderful. Your generation, I'm sure, will continue.
Yeah.
It's good that people like you go to Africa and see all the animals and everything, and you'll have that sense, I want to protect them.
Yeah, it was great.
And the African, people throughout the continent are coming to the realization that if they want tourist business, which brings a lot of money, they need the animals. That's the big draw.
Do. Yeah. So we then went to Cape Agulhas, which is about a couple hours away from Jeffreys Bay.
Oh, this is where the Indian Ocean meets the Atlantic Ocean.
It is.
Okay.
So this is the most southern tip of
Cape Town.
Of South Africa.
Oh, of Africa.
Yeah, of Africa. So you can see that one side is the Atlantic Ocean, and then the other side is the Indian Ocean. And actually, the Indian Ocean is much warmer than the Atlantic, especially during this time, but there's actually a difference in temperature on either side, which was really cool. So this is after the 12-day trip, and me, Bongi, and a few of her friends went up Lion's Head, which we saw earlier in the photo.
Near Table Mountain.
Yes. So sadly, it was really cloudy that day. But if you look up Lion's Head on Google, you can see what it's supposed to look like. But you can kind of see under the clouds that the city of Cape Town is right under us in the water. So that was a pretty rigorous hike.
Now, do I see an American flag there?
Yeah, so that was me and Anna Maria, and we...
Oh, she has the German flag.
Yeah, so she brought the German flag, I brought my American flag, and we took some pictures before we left each other, yeah. So this is back on Lion's Head with a group of us, and now you can see a clearer photo. We're about halfway down at that point, so you can really see the height of Lion's Head, but that's another beach down there, which you'll see later, and that's like the more wealthy area of Cape Town, so you have really expensive houses out there that are millions, and
they have a lot
houses.
of, if I remember, they had a lot of people from England who actually like wintered in Cape Town, because I think even though it's probably 18 hours from London, I think they were only 2 hours off in the time zone.
Yeah, so the time zone is very similar to Europe because it's lined up with their time zones.
Yeah.
So Anna Maria actually did not have any jet lag because she was in the same time zone as Germany. Well, I was, I believe it's 7-hour difference.
Yeah, you would have probably been about maybe even more, but
yeah, so jet lag was a bit harsh for me, but
yeah, no, a lot of Europeans like it there because they're so close. They can call home and before anyone goes to bed, and it's convenient.
Yeah, and usually South Africans, they go up to vacation in Europe or Australia.
Oh, they go. A lot of them go to Australia.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
So that's Lion Head in the background, which we hiked
Look
up
how
in the other
beautiful the
picture.
beach looks.
Yeah, so this was at the bottom, and it was too cold to go swimming. We did go swimming at a different beach.
That was my feeling, is that here we always saw these beautiful, beautiful beaches, and nobody was there.
Yeah.
And I always would say to a guide, I don't understand. Look at the beach, it's beautiful, and it's a sunny day. And they always said to me, too cold, too cold, too cold.
Yeah, I'm sure like in the summer, like now it's like over 100
Probably
degrees
still cold,
up there.
the water.
So as you said, I do crew. I row here. So I actually got the opportunity to go to the Peninsula Girls Rowing Club. And I got to spend a few hours rowing with them and get kind of a feel of what coaching and rowing in South Africa is like.
And did it seem different than the Western High School crew team?
It was much smaller. There was about, I would say 15 girls on the team.
And why? What do you have in high school?
I think we have over 100 or 80
You're
to 100.
kidding.
Yeah.
80 to 100 students in your high school? Is that just juniors?
Just the crew team.
I'm saying, but I mean, you have 80 to 100 students in crew.
Yeah, that's
really
Weston and Wayland combined. Our
but that's
next door
That's
neighbor.
a lot.
Yeah. So, and on the varsity girls team that I'm on here, there's about 25 of us just on the girls team. But there's also varsity boys, and novice girls.
Oh,
well,
so
here
it's a big
just
sport.
one team,
It's a big sport.
So
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, so this is with all the girls, and I'm like third from the right over there, which it was a great experience to be able to row with other people with a beautiful background, as you can see with the Table Mountain behind us. So we went to one of the points in Cape Town that's famous. I think if we go to I don't know, you can just see the oceans, and this is like one of the most western points
Oh, look
of
at
South
this
Africa.
beautiful picture. This is what?
It's
the ocean,
same
but look at the
point.
rock formation.
Yeah, so you can actually climb down to the edge down there. But it's a pretty long hike, so you need a full day to do that. But we had a lot planned, so that was as far as we went, but it's still a beautiful view.
So this trip, you didn't have any class in schools or anything?
I actually did.
You did. Okay, Jack, you're wrong. Go ahead.
So, which you'll see a bit later, I attended the Rhenish Girls High School with Bongi because it was her school year while I was there. So during the week, I would go to school with her, and then on weekends, we would do all this stuff. So besides the 12-day trip in the middle, I was doing most of the touring actually during the weekend. So I didn't have a lot of time, but...
So what was school like there? We could continue on with photos, but tell me a little bit about her school.
Yeah, so the school was interesting. I had never been to a all-girls school before.
Oh, it was all girls.
It was all girls, which was very interesting.
Was it a private school or was it public?
It was a public school,
Yeah.
but the public schools down there are a bit different because even if you don't live in the town, you can still attend a different school.
Okay.
So this school, the Rhenish school, was, I think, one of the top 3 in South Africa.
Oh, so it was a very highly regarded school. Okay.
So it was about an hour away from Bongi's home. So every morning we would wake up at 5 a.m. and go to the school. And they had uniforms and everything, which I haven't experienced before. And it was a great school that personally did not really welcome me.
Oh.
And I actually struggled. And I didn't have to do any schoolwork since it was my summer. So there was a lot of sitting around in classes. But the experience to see what a different school in a different country was
How did
really great.
Did it seem like it was a challenging program of school? I mean,
It didn't seem any more challenging than my school here, Weston.
but you'd say what, comparable to Weston maybe?
It was definitely more strict.
Okay.
They're much more strict about their academics.
Behavior and everything.
Yeah, behavior. So they actually don't have like arts classes there.
Okay.
In the main school, you could do it after school, but the school itself is all academics. So you have like the 5 classes, or like I think it was 6 or 7 classes a day. And it would only be academic, so I would just...
So no fluff, it was...
No fluff, just right there with a lot of work, so...
Let me take you back to the screen. This is Cape Point.
Yeah, so this Cape Point is where you saw the earlier pictures of the beautiful water and the rocks, and so we hiked up this pathway and to see the beautiful view, and actually... There's baboons on this pathway, and you're told not to mess with the baboons.
Okay.
But sadly, I was walking up the pathway, and this baboon was like looking at me, so I just kind of like stomped, and then it came at me.
Oh my God.
And it grabbed my shirt, but thankfully didn't hurt me. But it did rip my shirt. But it was a different experience, yeah.
So now you know where the comment comes where they say, get that baboon away from me.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is Cape of Good Hope.
Well, I'm glad you're okay. I think they might bite too.
They do, so you have to be careful, and you can't leave food around or anything. Because they're very dependent and aggressive towards people, actually.
Oh,
yeah.
really? Mm-hmm. Okay.
So this is Cape of Good Hope, which is the most southwestern point on the continent of Africa, which was great to see. There wasn't a lot there.
All your pictures are so beautiful. Was this done with a regular camera, or was this iPhone,
so it was
or what?
done with my iPhone.
Really?
Yeah,
Great photos.
Thank you. So Bongi took these of me.
Yeah. I remember the penguins, yeah.
So this is at Boulders Beach.
Yep.
And it's right near the Cape Point. And you go there, and there's hundreds of penguins that are all on the beach. And it is a tourist attraction where you go and
But look how beautiful
there.
the sand is.
Yeah, and we actually, that day, we walked a little bit further to not be with the crowds. And we actually did go swimming that day in the freezing water. And we did see a penguin near us, which was really fun. Yes, that's where we went swimming. It was freezing cold, but Bongi made me do it. She's like, how many times in your life are you going to go swimming in South Africa? So we did take the cable car up to Table Mountain. So we didn't hike it because we didn't have a lot of time, but we took the cable car up, and you're able to hike at the top So we went down a little bit and we took this picture. If you look closely, I'm sitting there on a ledge. And it was a beautiful view. And to do the hike, you need about like 7 hours to get up.
It does, yeah.
Like 7 up and
And you're
down.
exhausted, but
Yeah, so from where I was sitting in the last picture, this was the view out of the ridge. And above us is where, like, you can walk, like the tourists walk and stuff.
oh, look at this great shot. This
Yeah.
is what, on top of Table Mountain?
Yes, this is on top of Table
Oh,
Mountain.
what a beautiful picture.
And you can see the ocean.
You look like
and the
a
harbor
Hollywood
below.
person, you know, Superwoman.
Yeah. So in the right-hand side, you can see Robben Island out
Yep.
there, and then the
Do you want to
soccer
just share
stadium.
with the audience a little bit about your trip to Robben Island? Did you go to where Nelson Mandela
Yes.
was kept in jail and everything?
Yeah, so once again, it's very similar to Alcatraz, and Nelson Mandela was held there. You know, a lot of people disagreed why him being there, but now it's like a very historical place because he was held there and prisoners were there, and there's no way to escape the island, so it was very secluded and a very nice place to visit.
But
if you go
Nelson
there.
Mandela is a true hero in South Africa.
Yeah, he's very respected, and
Yes.
he's pictures of him everywhere. So it was very interesting. Yeah. So actually, in Cape Town, this is right before I left. We actually met up with Anna Maria. Again, she lives. She got to live inside the city, and she.
And she, forgive me, you might have told me, she was also a Rotary International
Yes.
person.
Yes.
Okay.
So she worked with Rotary too. And then now, since I'll be going there in Germany this summer, and she'll be coming to the U.S.
Is that going to be through Rotary?
That's not through
no,
Rotary.
that's
so
just the two of you.
luckily, Rotary kind of set us up to meet each other, but we're now making the arrangements by ourselves. So it kind of like allows you to connect with others.
Cute dogs again.
Yeah. So because my school experience was interesting, I wasn't a huge fan of going and sitting in school for long hours since I didn't have to be there.
A true American.
Yeah, it was, since I was there for a cultural exchange and not an academic exchange, I didn't have any grades or anything, so I was just kind of shadowing Bongi.
We'll have to edit this out for your school. We don't want them to know you
Oh,
were.
okay. Well, anyway, I ended up I ended up volunteering at an animal shelter.
Oh, beautiful.
For 2 weeks, and I got to play with puppies for
Oh,
part of the
so that's
day.
much better than school.
Yes, but besides that, like cleaning kennels and stuff, which was great. And one of the last weekends, we went to, it was called like a spa, but basically it was like a bunch of little cabins, and it was like thermal heated pools.
Yes, yep.
That were heated like naturally.
You'll
So-
see that when you meet your friend in Germany, if you get a
Yeah.
chance to go to any of the other European
Mm-hmm.
countries, in like in Budapest,
Mm-hmm.
they have big thermal pools with
Yeah.
hundreds of people sitting around and
Yeah, and
the
they had
same-
it in Colombia too.
Yes.
when I
Oh,
went
Colombia
there.
had it too. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was
Oh,
great.
look at this. There's a great shot.
Yeah. So that was at the little resort, and we stayed there for a couple nights, and we just kind of were swimming all day.
Were there anything like where the town was mostly black? Did you find in traveling with these resorts? Was there any kind of what am I trying to come up with? Where they said, you know, this is a not an integrated resort. Does that exist at all today in South Africa?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
This resort was actually, many international people were there. It was more
Yeah.
like an international place. But there were very few black families there, but that just happened to be where Bongi and her family would go frequently for little
But you didn't
vacations.
sense anything where there was still restrictions at all.
There were no restrictions.
Okay.
It was just kind of like growing up in a certain family, and then you kind of just stay in the area that the family was in. So this is back at the animal shelter and the puppies. I don't know.
That's all right. Puppies are wonderful.
So it was pretty cool. One of my last days at the shelter, there were these like 5-week-old puppies, which you don't really get to see very often. So that was great. And they also do, they have a hospital, an animal hospital there. And so I was.
So you got to see a lot of animals.
Yes, yes, it was great, and you can see here that the dog broke its 2 legs.
Yep.
So he was just in like the main office there hanging out.
Oh, this is the school you went to.
Yeah,
Okay.
so this was Renish Girls High School, and you can see the uniform that I had on. It was definitely fun. I took that on one of the
Did the
last
girls
days
mind
there.
that there weren't boys there?
I guess that's just something that
They're used to.
Yeah, they're used to. It's more common for separated gender schools down there.
A lot of countries.
Yeah,
A lot of
most countries. But overall, the girls' high school is.
Is this you
interesting.
coming back to the States?
Yep. So it was Bongi in the middle, and then her 2 friends, and then my host mom. They brought me to the airport pretty late at night, and that's when I flew out. Yeah.
And that's the end of your trip.
It was, yes.
Oh, well, that was very memorable. And now, will they let you take another trip with Rotary? Can you apply like if you wanted to do it your senior year?
You can apply to do it again. I think I have to focus on some other things now, but I would like to travel in the future. But Rotary is mainly for high school.
High school, okay.
Like students for the exchanges, but they do have other like connections that they can make.
Well, the
to travel.
universities too, you'll find. You may take advantage of it, you may not. We'll say to you, you can take a semester
Abroad,
abroad in another country. But, and you may say, no, I'm very active in what I'm doing at the university. I don't really want to go to another country. I'm concentrating on making a movie, and I'm fulfilling my dreams of film.
Yeah, let's hope.
There you go, yeah. Well, if you don't like the film industry, I think you could become involved in veterinary medicine.
That
You look
would
like
be
a
my
real
backup
animal
plan,
lover.
Yes.
Thank you, Maddie, so
Thank
much
you
for
very much.
joining us. And if you take another trip, well, you're going to go to Germany, take lots of pictures,
Yes.
get a hold of us, and maybe you'll become a guest and talk to us about your trip to Germany.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah,
That'll
and
be
maybe
fun.
you'll bring your friend with you, Anna Marie. She'll come.
That'll be great.
We'll have
yeah.
both of you on the. We'll add a chair, and we'll
Yeah.
have you both. You can talk about Germany.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Thank you again.
Thank you.